Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is your Tech Guy podcast. Well, actually, it's my Tech Guy podcast, but I now give it to you for Sunday, November 15th, 2015. This is episode 1238. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Ting.com. Ting is a mobile phone service that helps you save money by offering a fair price for the services you use. Visit thetechguy.ting.com to get $25 towards your first device or service and to find out how much you can save. And by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of SuperTank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank is loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit epson.com/EcoTank to find out more. And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you could post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/TechGuy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, anything with a chip and a technology of any kind. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, but you can call anywhere in the world if you use Skype. 8888 Ask Leo. The website, techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. You know, we talk a lot about mobile devices, tablets. I have the iPad Pro here. If you want a review, I can give you a review in one word. Big. Really big. Ginormous. And one of the things they did with the iPad Pro in order to give it speed and power is they put some very powerful A9X is what Apple calls it, a microprocessor in there. Apple says, and I don't know if this is true, I think it's overstatement, but Apple says it's a desktop class processor. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's pushing a lot of pixels through. This is a big screen and high resolution. But of course, when you have this much space, you can put a higher wattage processor. Usually more wattage means more capability or better speed on a processor. And this one's I can't remember. It's like 35 watts. It's a very, very high power processor. But you got a lot of space to dissipate the heat. That's one issue in a tablet. And for a massive battery, and probably 2/3 of the insides, the guts of an iPad Pro is battery. It's funny because the iPad Pro battery life is probably very similar to the other iPads, the Mini and the Air, but that's because they have a lot more battery, even though there's a lot more pixels to push on the screen. That uses up a whole lot of juice in a much faster processor. And really, up to now, there's not been much choice in how you get better battery life. You put a bigger battery in. It's one of the reasons most of our devices now no longer have replaceable batteries. LG, I think, is one of the last companies that's still making smartphones you can replace the battery. Samsung stopped. Apple hasn't done that in ever. And their laptops even, they stopped putting replaceable batteries in the laptops years ago. The reason is you can get more battery in there if you don't have to put a container around it. And if you have a removable battery, well, you have to protect people from, the inside, so you put a container around it. But that space is wasted in terms of juice. So by making sealed cases, you can have more battery, and that's really the push, because we want better battery life. Very disappointing, really. The battery life on the iPhone 6S Plus, the big iPhone, is great. Get me through the day. Easy peasy. No sweat. I can't say that for many other phones. Even the iPhone 6S, the little one, see, it's little, doesn't have as much battery. Everything else is the same, so it's not going to get the same battery life as a 6S Plus, is it? Android's really had trouble. It's been a couple of years since there's been an Android device that could get me through the day. And by the way, battery life, very subjective, you know? What is it? Your mileage may vary, YMMV. It's true for cars, but it's even more true for smartphones because we all do different things. You know, I look at the screen a lot. I don't watch video, but I read a lot of news articles, of course. That's one of the main things I do. I don't play a lot of games. But so the things I do on my phone maybe aren't the same as the things you do on your phone, but I can compare phones relatively because I pretty much use them the same way, you see? So I can tell you that for me, the iPhone 6S Plus gets all through the day, and it's got the best battery life of anything. May not get through the day for you, but it will be the best battery life I think you can get out there. I've been using the Nexus 6P, Android's kind of flagship. This is from Google. And it's pretty good, but it really varies depending on how I use it. It's an interesting, and other reviewers have noted this too, including many of my friends. It's hard to tell what kind of battery life you're going to get. And don't trust, a lot of blogs, tech blogs try to do synthetic tests. They say, well, we're going to run it at 50 nits and run continuous movies until it dies, and that's a number. And it is a number. Not a number that's a real world number, but at least, again, it gives you some relative value. In almost every case when I've seen these made-up tests, you know, we'll surf the web until it dies, you get far less battery life than you get in real life. Because really, the truth is, most of the time, at least half, if not more, your phone's just sitting there not doing anything. And one of the things the iPhone does really well is it does nothing very well. In fact, Google's put a lot of energy into the latest version of Android, version 6, Marshmallow, to do the same thing. They call it doze mode. When it's not doing anything, it shouldn't be doing anything. No background processes. Or if you're going to allow things to go out and check email, stuff like that, do it all at once. Don't keep waking the phone up. That's an art as much as a science, and Apple's mastered that art. I'm encouraged, though, because, one of the issues, either you improve battery technology, you get more juice per cubic centimeter, and people are working on that, but with very little success. Surprisingly, we haven't had a lot of big battery advances. Or you do what a lot of Android devices do. Snapdragons from Qualcomm do this. Samsung does it. You charge quicker. The theory being, well, yeah, you may be depleted by dinner time, but at least while you're eating dinner, you plug it in, and half an hour later, it should be ready to go for the evening. It's not ideal, but it's better than nothing, I guess. And all the new Android devices have some sort of quick charging. This Nexus 6P charges faster than anything I've ever seen. I mean, within an hour, easily, I can get to 100% from almost nothing. Huawei, though, and this intrigued me, has a new battery technology that can get to 50%. Well, let's say here's what they demonstrated. A small 600 milliamp hour battery. That's pretty small. That's about a third what the iPhone has, and it's about a fifth what the Nexus P has. So it's small. They were able to get from 0 to 68% on that little battery in, get this, 2 minutes. They had a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, which is much more like the one that's in this Nexus phone. It got to 48% in 5 minutes. Wow. Now, that means, 10 minutes to full charge. Huawei, which is a Chinese company, they make phones. In fact, they made, they made this Nexus 6P. It was made by Huawei. They say this battery design, we've always been able to supercharge batteries, but it kills them. It wears them out. They say this will not wear out battery life. They use some interesting technology to make this work. A new kind of chemical composition for the battery. And they say we're ready to market it. They're talking to partners for manufacture and distribution. So maybe we're getting close. We're still a ways from that battery that just, I would love, I don't know, what is it, a nuclear fusion device in your phone that could last all day or all year? There are some fuel cell style batteries that maybe do better than that. That's the kind of battery you might get if you get a hearing aid. They're fuel cell batteries, zinc, oxygen, things like that. But they have other issues. You have to put lighter fluid in them from time to time, things like that. This battery might be, is that enough for you? It seems like that's an improvement. If I could just plug it in for 2 minutes or 5 minutes and get to halfway and go on my way, boy, that'd be great. Go to you're at the airport. How many people do you see hugging those, what do they call them, wall huggers, hugging those few plugs in the airport? Gotta get that last bit of juice before I get on the plane. Imagine if you could do that, get 100% charge in just a few minutes. That would be awesome. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, it's okay, calm down. The tech guy. Don't need to get upset. We're here to help you with your computer technology. Kim Schaffer answering the phone today. Hello, Kim.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
You too.
Guess we had a power outage in the middle of the night in the studio.
So
Nobody was here. Yeah, but when
I woke up to the rain at about 3 in the morning. But
rain in California.
it was dumping.
It's a blue moon.
It was great.
So things are blinking. I hear a high-pitched whine from you.
Yes, I'm hearing
There's
that as
little
well.
glitches here and there. We have everything on. It's funny because yesterday we had a call about uninterruptible power supplies. On the west coast of the United States, we're expecting a very, very stormy winter, El Nino. And yeah, it's still there, John. It goes away when you turn it off.
It's in my mic.
It's in your mic. El Nino, and which is good because we've been in a drought for a few years.
We need
so
it.
we can use the rain. But people are starting to prepare, as they are all over the country, for stormy weather. And a UPS is a great idea. That's a kind of device where it's got a battery in it. Your stuff is plugged into it. It does two things. One, of course, when the power goes out, it keeps your computers and TVs and stuff going, not so that you can sit there and pretend the power is still on, but so that you can in an orderly fashion shut things down. That's, of course, especially with a computer, always better. But a good UPS, not all of them do this, will give you clean power, too, even when the power is okay. It'll smooth out the brownouts, the bumps, the surges, the little ticks. And so and good UPSs are a little expensive, but and they do take some maintenance, but they are a good idea. And maybe for the winter months, it's something you should consider up here in the Northern Hemisphere. We had UPSs. Everything's designed to, when the power goes out, shut itself down in an orderly fashion. It can do that automatically. And unfortunately, one of the UPSs, I guess the battery had expired. And that's the maintenance part. On a good UPS, the battery is always being charged and discharged, always being used, and so it will wear out in a year or two. Most UPSs of that kind will have a warning light, as ours did, but they're in the basement. They're under the desk. You don't look at it all the time. So it's a good thing to take a look at and be prepared for. If lightning is about, we don't get much thunder and lightning here.
But we did the other day.
I know.
And it was awesome.
That is, of course, something really bad for your electronics. The power surge caused by a lightning strike will fry almost all the electronics in your house. No surge suppressor will protect you. There's so much voltage going through there. I remember being on the phone a few years ago with my co-author in my first book, Gina Smith, and we were talking, and she said, "Oh!" and disappeared. I went, "Oh, no." Called her right back. She said, "We got hit by lightning." Gina lost not only her computers, her washing machine, her dishwasher, all her appliances. Because even if you have and she had surge protectors on all her computers, even if you have it, there's so much voltage that it can leap right across the fuse and still fry stuff. So if you're in an active thunderstorm, not a bad idea to power down the PC, shut down the TV, though I know you want to still, watch your TV, cozy up by the fire, but it's a good idea. TVs nowadays are computers, and they're very sensitive to all that stuff. So it's a good idea to shut it all down, and then unplug it. Because the best way to protect against lightning is to have what we call an air gap. And, unplug that stuff. Lightning won't jump out of the socket and into your TV set unless you really get hit, in which case all bets are off. In fact, a lot of times, the reason you buy a surge suppressor is not to protect you against something like that, but for the insurance they offer. And in some cases, they will offer repairs. They'll pay for repairs if you do get zapped. 8888 Ask Leo. So we've been taking phone calls. Man, you lined up the board there.
Yeah, and maybe Greg in Colorado got hit by lightning because he's no longer
He
there.
just fell off, huh?
We're going to have to go with Joe and Van Nuys
I
instead.
will do it. Thank you very much, Kim. Joe, Van Nuys, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yes, hello, Leo. Yeah, I have a question. It's a curiosity one. I recently transferred Windows 7 Professional, and I upgraded to Windows 10. Now, I noticed my family member took a video on her iPhone and emailed it to me. I opened it up on my computer and clicked on it, and it came out sideways. I have to turn my head to the left. So
I hate it when that happens.
Okay, so I thought maybe I could turn it, like you do with a JPEG sometimes.
Yeah.
You right-click and you can rotate it left or right.
Right.
Well, I tried that, and it didn't work. Now, when I upgraded to Windows 10 and turned on the computer and then clicked on the MOV, it came out correct, right side up.
Thank you, Microsoft. PC does what? So there's data in the video that says which way's up. It's not in the video part of the video. It's in the what we call metadata that says this is rotated this way or that way. And Windows 7 notoriously didn't see that data. Some programs did, but some programs didn't. Windows 7 did not. Obviously, Windows 10, Microsoft has fixed a few things, and that's one of them. That's good news. If that happens again, there are programs that will, as you say, like JPEGs, rotate it. It's a little more complicated with a video. If you think of a video really as just a bunch of JPEGs, 60 JPEGs a second. So it's a little more complicated. But there's a free program that every PC, everybody who uses a Mac, everybody who has a tablet, everybody who has an iPhone or an Android phone should have called VLC, the Video LAN Client. It's free, VLC. It's free. It's from videolan.org, videolan.org. And that will rotate videos, among many other things that thing will do. That is the ultimate toolkit for video. And it's free for Windows, free for Mac. So if that happens again, it shouldn't. It just means Windows is now recognizing the metadata that says, oh, this was shot this way.
Yeah, I was just curious how it automatically got fixed.
Yeah, it's in there. So was it that it was tall like a door and it...
Well, the video window comes up correctly like it should.
Yeah.
But the video in the window, it was sideways. I had to turn my head.
Did she shoot it like you're supposed to, although I'm not a bit, and then it came out as a door. Yeah, so when Windows needs to know, they rotate it 90 degrees, and that's the player. And it's good news that Microsoft figured that out in Windows 10. It's just data. They need to read the data. The problem also sometimes happens for other reasons. For instance, when they made, this is kind of wacky, but when they made the phone that I've been using, this Nexus 6P, when Huawei made it, it was so cramped up at the top that they had to put the camera sensor in upside down. So when you use the camera on the Nexus 6P, it knows that, because it says, oh, you got one of them upside down lenses, and it fixes it automatically. But older software, and I notice Firefox does it, the picture comes out upside down. So it's just a question of newer software being smart and saying, let me find out what the orientation of this video or that still is, and handling it properly. Hey, thanks for the call. Coming up, something great. I can't remember. But Leo Laporte, the tech guy, that's for sure. Is it Chris Marquardt? I can't remember. No, he's next hour.
But he's ready to go.
Yeah, that's what confuses me. It's what confused me. So he's there for 12:30. I don't have anything next hour. This is Sunday. It's me, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo is the phone number. Jay in Rancho Cucamonga. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Leo.
Hi, Jay. How you doing?
I'm good, my man. It's good to talk to you. I was actually waiting to talk to you before I made a purchase.
Uh-oh, good.
So here's what I need. I own a website that covers youth sports activities. So we broadcast not just information about youth sports, but also we go out and film them. So
cool.
every youth sports imaginable, we film. We've been on Fox. We've been on different television platforms. And now we want a web TV solution. So what under our company, we are the network, and we need sub-channels under that. What's the best web TV solution that you can recommend?
Oh my goodness, this is a subject I do know a little bit about. We about 10 years ago, I've been doing the radio show, this radio show for more than 10 years, but I've been doing a radio show like this since 1991. But about 10 years ago, we decided, because I was only working weekends, what the heck, maybe I should do a little more, and we decided that we should start a podcast network. So we started putting out tech podcasts. I've been doing that since then. And then I'd say about 2008, 2009, we thought, hey, it's cool that we're doing these audio podcasts, but wouldn't it be even cooler if we started streaming video of the shows? About 5 years ago, we built this $1 million facility that is basically a live television studio. Now, you're not going to need a studio, I'm taking it, because you're going to be all out in the field, or not?
That is not correct. Because the way our format is, it is almost like you're watching ESPN.
Oh, you don't want to do an internet-based ESPN, basically, for youth sports.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. Well, I mean, this is a long and complicated. I could probably give some seminars on this. In fact, I think we used to do a seminar on how to do this. It's what's interesting to me is how few people are actually doing this. I feel like this is the future of broadcasting in so many ways.
I think so too.
But it's I don't know. I mean, so there are some people doing things like this. For instance, Notre Dame college football. Boy, for Notre Dame, football is a fundraiser. The alumni come back, they give generously. It's a big deal. The problem is, if you're not in, where's Notre Dame? Green Bay? If you're not in Wisconsin, wherever it is. Anyway, if you're not there, South Bend, there you go. If you're not in South Bend, then you're not seeing the games, right? You have to travel. So what they started doing is broadcasting, and a lot of colleges are doing this now, broadcasting on a special pay network for alumni and alumni to the games, so they can watch the games. They can be boosters. They can donate to the college, and it's a very lucrative, very good sport. So this is kind of a niche market. In fact, you're sort of in that market that is in fact thriving. In general, the way they do this is kind of like a budget television station. They tend, what you'll need is a studio space. You'll need much of the same thing a regular television studio will have: lights, cameras.
We have all of that.
All right.
We have all of that. The only thing that I'm looking for is that's not the only thing, because I have another question. But the main thing that we're looking for is the actual web TV solution. Now, we get directed towards something called WS Web TV Solutions. They're overseas, and we've been talking to them for a while, and their price is fairly reasonable. But I did not have a confidence in them because I didn't have any background information on them.
Yeah, I don't know them, but I'll tell you in general what you're looking for, which is, and by the way, you can do this for free right now. A lot of people do on Ustream, ustream.tv. The letter U, STREAM.tv. What you've got, here's what you're doing. You've got a studio. You connect it to the internet. Now, you don't want to serve all the individual people who will be watching this, unless it's a handful. You are probably going to, just like with a website, you don't want to run a website out of your closet anymore. You're going to go to somebody that makes a profession of this, web hosting company. They've got a lot of bandwidth. I mean, a lot of more than you have. They have a network operations center that they can keep running 24/7 with generators and air conditioning and all of that stuff. You want to go to somebody who does that for streaming video. Ustream is a free service a lot of people use. YouTube even, if you don't have, you have to fit YouTube's model, but YouTube has live streaming. You can do live streaming on YouTube. And there's a lot to be said for that. Everybody knows YouTube. It's easy for them to use. They don't have to do anything special. They don't even have to have Flash, which is really nice. We have a couple of partners we work with. BitGravity is one that's great. They're not a free solution, but they do a great job. Flowsoft is a European company we work with as well. You pay them, and you'll be paying by bandwidth, much as you would maybe kind of like a web hosting. I guess web hosting is a little different because the cost of streaming video can really go up. The difference between doing what you're doing and what NBC does is NBC, if they have one person watching or a million people watching, Channel 4, one person or a million people, it doesn't cost them any more. So they want to get as big an audience as they can. It's very different. Web broadcasting is more like a magazine or a newspaper where every single person looking at your stream is costing you money. You have to pay. They're in effect downloading from you. So there are free services like Ustream and YouTube. They have their own model. They put advertising on it and so forth. They have to somehow monetize. Or they're paid services, probably like the one you're talking about, or Flowsoft or BitGravity. And you probably should just go around and price them. What you're going to look for is somebody who has experience doing this for a long time, has a lot of bandwidth, and best of all, if you could get it, is somebody who uses what's called a CDN, or a content distribution network. When Apple wants to stream the big announcement of the new iPad Pro, there may be 1 million people watching that. So they don't just serve it all out of a room in Cupertino. They go through a content distribution network. The one they use is called Akamai. It's probably the granddaddy of all this, the best in the biz, also the most expensive, Akamai. Akamai has servers all over the world. And if you tune into the Apple stream in Germany, you'll get a German server. If you tune in Indiana, you'll get an Indiana server. You'll get a local server. So that means that it's faster to you, and it distributes the weight. Because believe me, when 100,000 people are all watching a video stream, that's a lot of data you're spitting out. So my recommendation is to price. Go around and price them. Talk to them. Make sure it's somebody who's been in business a long time. It's somebody who can do live. We use CashFly, which is a great company for our downloads, but they don't do live. You want somebody who can do live. And ideally somebody who has a content distribution network so that you're not just coming from one place, you're coming from a variety of places. All of this is less important if you're small, but as you get bigger, it becomes much, much more important. I wish you luck. I think this is great. Because we do it, we would love to see others doing it. You don't want to be the only company doing something. And a few have tried. Wall Street Journal has some live streaming. Huffington Post has some live streaming. They have a studio. But most of the people who try doing this go, it's just not worth the energy and the effort. And that means we stand alone at twit.tv. If you want to watch, you can see what we do. 8888 Ask Leo. The website, techguylabs.com. I'd love to get input. By the way, you can go to techguylabs.com free, add your comments, anything you think of, I don't say, you should tell us. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Yeah. Our show today brought to you by Ting. Oh, I'm so glad Ting's back. I love Ting, and I love being able to talk about Ting because I think this is a solution that can save you a lot of money, but more importantly, can reinvent how the cell phone business works. Ting.com. Actually, we have a special site you can go to, thetechguy.ting.com. When you get there, in fact, I'll show you right now. If you're watching on video, you can see this. When you go there, you'll see a price calculator. It'll tell you how much you will save. You will see a lot of information about how they work. They're on two nationwide networks, and I'm thrilled about that. They're on T-Mobile for GSM and Sprint for CDMA. That means you can bring your phone, almost any phone, to Ting and save big money. I love that. Your average monthly bill, this is the thing to remember with Ting, your average monthly bill is $23 a device. Compare that to what you're paying right now. Ting is helping people save a lot of money on their phone bill. And with Ting, how you use your phone determines what you pay. In other words, you pay as you go. Use less, pay less. There are no overage charges. There are no penalties. There are no contracts. You pay exactly for what you use each month. Now, if you have a contract with another provider, they'll give you a credit on the early termination fee, 25% up to $75 per device for coming to Ting. You can find out more about that at ting.com/ETF. But about 80% of all phones out there can be served on Ting. In fact, they have a Ting device checker, ting.com/BYOD, and you can enter in your device information, and it'll let you know whether you can use it. What I really love is the dashboard. I should log on to my Ting account and show you. It's really sweet. You can see exactly what you've used. You know exactly what's going on. If you want to buy a new phone, they do sell phones. They have a nice shop. You can buy a new device, but a lot of people bring old devices to Ting, and that's a great way to do it too. Save money, manage your cell usage better with Ting, and only pay for what you use. You'll get $25 off select devices or mobile phone service just for getting started because you're listening to the show. But you got to go to thetechguy.ting.com, thetechguy.ting.com, and we thank them for their support of the Tech Guy Show. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We go on to Seraphine in Studio City, California. Hi, Seraphine.
Hi, I've been trying to get through for a little over a year, and I'm so excited. Thank you.
Wow. You're very persistent, and I appreciate that. I know it's hard.
I jumped in very early this time.
Thank you.
It's a very simple question, and I'm sure anybody can answer it, but I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
I've been on the computer since '86, so I'm not a new person. I have two Samsung TVs. They have identical remote controls, and about once a week, it adds channels that I haven't programmed into it, and I have to go back and delete them, and I was wondering what causes that.
Oh, I hate Samsung sometimes. My Samsung, I have my favorite TV, the one I love the best, the one I spent the most on, is a Samsung. It's a great picture. But it's got the worst software. It's just terrible. And I really feel like they probably haven't done a great job on the software. Are you hooked up to a cable box? How are you hooked up?
No, I'm just in regular air. I get my TV for free.
Okay, good. And that means you've got a digital tuner somewhere, or does the TV do that for you?
I think the TV does that.
Okay. I have a TiVo sitting on cable, and periodically I'll get a message from TiVo saying, hey, new channels, we've moved things around. That's the cable company. You don't have that problem. And in fact, you don't, generally speaking, over-the-air channels don't move around much. Are you getting... What is happening? Is it adding channels that you didn't have before, or?
Yeah, it just adds channels. Like I'll have channel 18.3, 18.2, 18.1, and it'll add 44.
Right. So when you first set up the TV, you remember you scanned through the available channels.
Right.
And it picked up what channels it could see.
Right, and I deleted a whole lot of them.
And you don't want, I don't want the shopping channel. I delete that. So things like that. Channels in languages I don't speak. I just delete those, right? Because you don't want to have to tune through those unnecessarily. Problem, I think, is happening because the TV must be automatically scanning from time to time.
Oh.
And seeing new channels. The HD channels are the 0.4, 0.1 channels. Those are when television stations, broadcast stations, were required by the FCC to move to digital. One of the benefits the FCC gave them is they said, well, you're going to have a lot of bandwidth. If you wish, you could have a single high-def surround sound channel, use up all the bandwidth, or you could have a couple of 3 standard channels on the same signal. And sometimes stations actually change. During the day, they have 3 channels. At night, for the prime time, they'll have 1 channel, that kind of thing. And I suspect that your TV has some sort of automated system, maybe once a week, where it's going out and saying, well, is there anything new? And it adds them. So what I would do is go into the Samsung settings, which are arcane and difficult, and I understand they're crazy. Yeah, they're medieval. If they had TV sets in the Middle Ages, they would be just like this. So you might have to browse around, but I bet you somewhere deep down, hidden around, there is a button that says "Do not auto scan" or "Do not update."
Okay, all right.
And if there isn't, then you're stuck. Because it's detecting the new channels and it's adding them willy-nilly. And
I have one of those Fox-type minds. I always want to know.
Yeah, and I think that's a good question. And I think some of this comes from the fact that Samsung's software is opaque, to say the least. Yeah, they're great TVs. I love my Samsung, but sometimes I wish I could just give it a lobotomy. Just take this quote smart part out of the TV. Just say, look, you just be a screen. And I'll use something else. Yeah, just do what I say. Don't be so smart. You're too smart. And that's what's happening to you. It's trying to find new channels.
All right. And by the way, my family had the first black and white TV on the street in our town of New Orleans.
Oh, weren't you privileged? And did people come over to see this modern marvel?
Yes, and we used to go over to my next door neighbor when color came out to watch Bonanza.
My dad wouldn't buy color. He said, "People look orange. I'm not going to buy color."
Well, that's why we
you had to go next door.
To watch it on there.
How do you remember what that first black and white TV looked like? It was a piece of furniture, I bet, right?
Yes, it was a great big box with a little tiny screen on it.
Yeah.
And my parents would send my sister and I to bed, and we would peek out of the side of the corner of our door and look down the hallway so we could watch TV while they were watching.
I used to do that too. Tuesday night at the movies, we'd always be in bed, but I can still remember the marquee and the Tuesday night at the movies. Those were the days.
Waking up on Saturday morning and
cartoons.
Watching the screen.
You know, they don't have cartoons on Saturday morning anymore.
Oh, they do.
What do our kids?
Air TV.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, thanks to Nickelodeon and the other kids channels, you can do it. But the broadcast networks phased out cartoons.
I used to work for Hanna-Barbera, so I know.
Oh, you know all about this, Huckleberry Hound.
Yeah, well, I worked on Fred Flintstone and the Superheroes.
You did?
Yeah. My job was to take 14 other artists' work, and if their backgrounds didn't match the cells, I had to say, like, Fred Flintstone's running into the door. He's supposed to be running into the door, but he ran into the wall. Then I would have to move the door so they wouldn't have to redo all the cells.
Oh, my goodness. So, and these were on some sort of clear acetate or?
Oh, yeah. That's what we call the cells. Yeah, that's what the animators did, but we painted the background.
You were a background painter.
I was a background painter.
And what kind of paint did you use for that? Was it acrylic?
Acrylic, right. And on break times, I would stand around and take fine art paintings like Andrew Wyatt's works, and I would use my animation paint to try to reproduce their effects.
How cool is that?
Yeah, that was fun.
Wow.
We were creative-aholics.
That is so cool. Now, did you lose your job when digital came in, or?
There was one studio said they were bringing in computer animation, and they were going to train just a couple of people to keep it very in-house. And so, yeah, we were kind of phased out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. There's always something creative to do.
Do you still paint?
I paint every day. I have a couple of exhibitions coming up in Santa Barbara in December and January.
How wonderful.
I'm doing a lot of plein air painting right now. But I'm known
I love that.
I'm known for taking photos of the reflection of light in water drops and showing you the details on the surface of the water.
That's wonderful. That's what digital artists these days do. I have a friend who did Princess Amidala's starship in the Star Wars Episode 1. And he spends all his time looking at specular highlights, something you do too, looking at the reflections and kind of, he'll sit at breakfast mesmerized at looking at the water drop and just trying to remember that so he can paint it into his...
I grew up in New Orleans, so there was a lot of water drops to look at.
How wonderful. Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining. All right. Take care.
I listen, even though half the time I don't know what you're talking about.
That's, you've been listening all this time. I appreciate it.
For years.
Sometimes I think we're foreign language programming. I know a lot of radio stations do. Hey, it's so great to talk to you. Thanks for the call, Seraphy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. How cool is that? We're going to take a break. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls still to come. Stay right here. Roku is a crashy little device. So, no, the Samsung I have is the OLED, the one I spent all that money on. And it's a beautiful display. But, it's in my den, and I sit pretty close to it. It's just great. Turn out all the lights. But pretend I'm in the movies. But, boy, the smart saw, it does things like you're sitting your... By the way, this is a bad trend, I noticed. Lisa likes blood and oil. Is that the name of it?
Yeah. Don Johnson.
Yeah, she loves Don Johnson. So I'm working out. I'm rowing. She's lifting weights. We're watching Blood and Oil. ABC puts its logo on it the whole time. That's just disrespectful. That's just terrible. What are they? Is it they're worried about piracy?
Yeah. Protecting their property.
Of course, we do that, but we're news. We're current events. We're not a drama. Takes me right out of the drama. Not that it's very good drama, but it takes me right out of the drama. I just think that's tacky. I guess everybody's doing that now. And of course, TNT and it started, I think, and now everybody does it where you're watching a show, the lower third will slide in, the next show guy will go, hey, and then they'll slide out. It's like, I'm watching here. We just knock it off. I'm trying to, makes you want to go to the movies. Jeez.
I think that's why young people just watch Netflix.
It's why they have no attention span. It's like constantly there's but I think ABC's making a big mistake because all that does is teaches you to ignore it. See, people don't understand. If you keep something on the screen all the time, people don't see it. You want to ignore it because you're trying to watch Don Johnson, sleep with his son's wife. And the ABC bug, so you just learn not to see it. It's like with banner ads. We've just learned not to see them. Because that's what your brain does for good reason. I'm worried about the tiger in the leaves, not the tree that's been there for 50 years. Yeah, I know. It's shocking, Dr. Mom. What these kids get up to in Blood and Oil, I swear. It's just like a really well-lit soap opera, daytime soap opera.
I've been meaning to watch it.
It's really, it's like, and they even have the swelling music, and they always go to commercial and like, da 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 da.
Cheese.
I'm your son. What? Da, 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 da. But we're different, and if you watch CNN, there's always a lower third and a crawl and all that stuff. But that's news, and we're news. We're not drama. We're not trying to take you out of your mundane daily lives and to transport you to a magical land called Texas. We are real world stuff. So the lower third is mostly so that if people tune by, they know what's going on, not just some guy in a weird shirt and a penguin display just talking. That's so you know when you get here, oh, that's the tech guy. That's him. EastEnders Duff. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smartwatches. Oh, I'm not wearing one. Smartwatch. I can talk about them. I have them all. Kind of not a fan, I'll be honest with you. I feel like after trying all the smartwatches, they're just annoying, frankly. None more so than the Apple Watch, which is not only annoying, but expensive. So it's like the worst of both worlds. It makes you stand up every 50 minutes. Even if, this is the funny thing, even if you're exercising. So I'm on my rowing machine, or I'm running or whatever, and it says it's time to stand up. You idiot. Now, I know it's just a watch, but it just drives it, and you can turn it off, of course. But the point is, after a while, you end up turning everything off because you don't want to know all these notifications. You don't want to know all this stuff. I guess I think this is, these watches are the tech industry's desire, A, to sell you something new, to find a new category, because computers, nobody's buying them. Tablets, dropped 19% iPad sales last quarter. What are we going to do? The iPhone's selling great, but hey, what's next? What have you done for me lately? So they're trying to find a new category. And wearables is the new idea. Google tried it with the glasses, but that was a flop. Now Android Wear and Apple Watch, they think maybe on the wrist. But I think really it's a very limited audience for this stuff. So, and I have them, and here's the test, right? If you forget to put it on and you're headed off to work, do you go back and get it? Certainly with my phone, unless I'm 50 miles away. But if I'm just down the driveway and I go, oh, I forgot my phone, I'll go back and get it. Will you do that for your Not me. For my smartwatch? No. It's like, oh, thank goodness. I don't have to stand up today. Romano in New Jersey. Hey, Romano, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Oh, Leo, you're here.
Oh, Romano. Oh, Mr. Kata. What can I do for you?
You're the tech guy, so you must have the answer.
Oh, I wish that were true, but in both cases you're wrong. But I'll still do my best. What can I do for you?
Okay, so there's this HP Pavilion G7 laptop. I turn it on, it boots up, it goes through post, and then it boots into Windows, right?
Yeah.
But the display is dark. Okay.
But there's still a display. You can still see stuff on the display, like when you hold it up to the light?
Yes. So
okay.
If you shine a flashlight on it, you can see that there's something there.
Yeah, the backlight's not coming on.
Yes. So I replaced the LCD display cable. That didn't work. I replaced the LCD screen. That didn't work. There's no inverter to replace. I've flashed the BIOS. I've updated the graphics drivers.
Well, you want to bring this thing to life.
Yes, I know. I don't want it to end up in the landfill.
Get the paddles. Clear. I think that what has happened is your backlight, which is in this case an older laptop like this, it's a fluorescent light, is dead.
But there's no fluorescent bulbs in the back. There's just the LED screen.
Somewhere there's a light. I don't know what it looks like.
It's integrated into the screen, right?
Yeah. So the way LCDs work is they're shutters, basically, that open and close. And without something behind them, they still open and close. That's why you can see the screen. If you kind of shine light into it, you're kind of seeing those cells do their thing. But without light coming through it, you're not going to see anything. You're not going to see color. You're not going to see anything. You need a light coming through it. Somewhere there's a light source. Nowadays they use LEDs. It's not built into the LCD cells, but it would be behind them. There would be somewhere.
Well, I replaced the entire display.
You replaced the whole unit?
Yes. When I took it out, the only thing behind it was just the plastic.
How much have you spent to get this HP Pavilion working again?
The generic LCD display cable was like, I think $15.
Oh, that's not bad.
The generic LCD screen was $80.
That's not bad. You should be able to see, so you don't see a light in there. It might be. I'm not sure on these whether when you replace the screen, that's a whole one-piece unit with the backlight built in. Probably is, I would guess.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Yes.
And you replaced the inverter as well?
No, there is no inverter.
Oh, okay.
I've looked through the service manual, and the inverter is usually underneath the LCD.
It must be all in this one unit.
And it's not there.
Yeah, it must all be in one unit.
I've made sure the connection to the motherboard is correct because, the videos coming out, it's just that there's no backlight.
Yeah, and of course you could probably hook up an external monitor. I guess you've tried that. And
yes.
Yeah, everything.
On an external monitor, everything is crystal clear on the external monitor, but the screen itself is still dark. Yeah,
the backlight's not working, and it's I I can't go much farther than that. Well, how old is this Pavilion?
It's 2012.
Oh, it's not that old, is it?
Yeah.
Just old enough to be out of warranty.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, HP. I'm looking at the chat room because despite the fact that I am the technology god, I do have wonderful angels in the chat room who are thinking. They're scratching their heads. There is an inverter, but it's in some... It's maybe... I don't know on this HP. It sounds like it might be all one unit. Have you gone to iFixit.com? Take a look at that site. They have repair videos and informational videos. They want to be the repair manual for the internet. And they have videos of things being taken apart, how to do it. They make their money by selling the parts and the tools, but all the other stuff is free. So I would go there and see some informational stuff. I hate to see you put too much money into this. It is only 3 years old, but golly, you could buy a new HP laptop for a few $100. If it's let me think now. If it's 2012, might be LDD. That was on the cusp, whether they were backlit by fluorescents or LEDs. If it's LED, then you probably don't need an inverter. If it's a fluorescent, you would. I don't think there's much I can do for you. I hate to say it. You were so nice about I can solve your problem and stuff, but this is one where you've done everything one could think of, and it still doesn't work. I would check out iFixit. Hope that they have something on that particular model. You know, they are amazingly complete. They even have how to fix McDonald's Happy Meal toys, but there's so many models of laptops, they can't do them all. I love it that you're looking at the repair manual. You replaced the cable. God, I don't know what else you could replace. It's probably not software. I don't think that's software involved at all. It's just got to be some physical damage to some display component. Jonathan in Knoxville, Tennessee. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, Leo.
Oh, wait a minute. Here's one. Misfit Toys in the chat room says there is a surface mount fuse on the motherboard that is the fuse for the backlight. That's probably burnt out. That would make a lot of sense because you replaced everything, but of course you haven't replaced the motherboard. So check for a fuse on the motherboard. Sorry, Jonathan, what can I do for you?
Oh, hey, Leo. First-time caller.
Thank you.
Discovered your show about a month ago, and I love it.
Oh, it's fun. Thank you.
Wish I had you earlier, man. Wish I had you earlier.
Well, you're not alone anymore as you travel through the world of technology.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to put you on hold. I hate to say because I got to take a break, but can you hang on one more minute?
Sure thing.
You don't mind? I know you've been hanging on for a while, but hang on one more minute. Network break, you know. The network acknowledges no master. We're going to take a break. Come back with more. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. Wouldn't it be funny if there was a switch, maybe even on the keyboard, that turns the backlight off? Don't know. Do not know. ECG product, a live core. That's the company that Vic Gondotra, the former Microsoft Googler, he was the guy who started Google Plus, has just joined AliveCore. And it's interesting because AliveCore is an ECG electrocardiogram that's FDA approved. So it works with a smartphone, and you get these electrodes. I saw two. I haven't seen and you put them on there. Yeah, like a function key that turns off the backlight. I don't think they put a backlight switch on there. Oh, maybe you can.
Burke and I were talking about the silliness of the physical switch to turn off the screen.
Yeah.
And Burke goes, I had a laptop once that had a dimmer switch. You can dim it so that it went all the way down.
Right.
So a dimmer switch.
Maybe he's just turned it all the way down. Actually, many laptops do that.
To turn it all the way off.
Wouldn't that be sad if he's changed everything? And it's just the F key switch. Yeah, no, I can do that, I think, on my Dell. Let's see. Yeah, MacBooks will do that. Yeah, this won't go all the way off, but it's pretty dark. So you might want to press that F10 key. That's pretty funny. Yeah. With a well-designed laptop wouldn't let you turn it all the way off. But on the other hand, boy, that would be funny. Like, I just turned off the Wi-Fi by accident, hitting the wrong F. They shouldn't. I think not good. Not good. Banging on the table to go all the way off, he says. Would that be the case if you... Yeah, I guess if it was done in soft... I don't know. I don't know if it's the operating system doing it or the hardware. Huh. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 88. Ask Leo. The website is techguylabs.com. We put all the answers, all the questions, even audio and video of the show after the fact at that website. It's free. There's no sign up, techguylabs.com. And if you have some thoughts, I could use some help here. Just go there and comment. There's a comment section, and it's very useful. You can even vote comments up and down if you disagree. A number of people in the chat room say, you know, I have a laptop where, in fact, I just played with my Dell, where it has a keyboard setting that you can dim the screen. And some, not all, the Dell didn't do this, but some would let you dim them to the point that they were off. Wouldn't that be sad if he did all that to fix his HP Pavilion and it's just that he turned off the screen? Couldn't be. Others are suggesting, you know, there's probably a switch that notices when the laptop's closed so it could turn off the screen. Maybe that switch has been stuck or activated or broken. That's something to look at. Jonathan from Knoxville, Tennessee, thank you for being patient. What can I do for you?
Sure, no problem. Well, I've been using an Acer laptop, a real curmudgeon of a laptop, for about 7 years. I've been digitizing my Blu-ray library, like all of my movies and TV shows, and I just listen to them or watch them while I'm working on the Mac. But my LG, the external Blu-ray drive, it's a LG Super Multi Blue. It stopped working altogether.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's on the Windows side. I know it's a pretty old laptop, but it just said it was an unrecognized device. I uninstalled the drivers, reinstalled the drivers, made sure I had the newest ones. No luck. So, but my question is I have a perfectly good Mac. Are there any external Blu-ray drives that work with Mac?
There are. Of course, the trick is you need software, but there are USB Blu-ray drives. Apple decided some time ago that they didn't want to support Blu-ray because of the copy restrictions, the copy protection restrictions that they were. In fact, Steve Jobs very famously said, "Blu-ray is a bag o' hurt." So he's, I don't think Apple will at this point. There's no way Apple will ever do Blu-ray because, after all, they don't even include optical discs on most of their computers at all of any kind. But you can buy an external drive. Apple doesn't sell one, but there's a company, there are many companies, but there's one called MCE, which is well known for kind of aftermarket third-party Blu-ray and DVD drives. They make an $80 drive that comes with Apple software. So that's one of several choices. If you go to Otherworld Computing, they specialize in Mac hardware. They probably have some too. That's macsales.com. But you're right to ask the question because even though it's USB, and in theory, completely compatible and probably would work, it's the copy protection that makes it difficult to use. And so you have to have Mac software that will work with that hardware. So MCE and then macsales.com, they may have some other choices.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan. Luca from Vancouver, British Columbia. Hi, Luca.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. What can I do for you?
I'm going on a trip to Europe. I'm going to the Czech Republic, Hungary, Germany, Netherlands, Austria, and Italy. And I was wondering if there's a carrier that will support all those countries, or which carriers I should use in each of those countries.
Yeah, Deutsche Telekom probably is in all those areas. It's a kind of something in flux right now in the EU. The EU has passed rules. I don't think they're in effect yet, but they will be soon. That require
2017.
Oh, you know about that. They require roaming across borders in all the EU states. When that happens, doesn't matter. You just get a chip and travel. But right now, you might have some issues. I was in most of those countries just this few months ago, and it was Deutsche Telekom was everywhere. That's the German telecom company. They own T-Mobile as well. And in fact, that's sometimes the best advice. If you have a T-Mobile account in the U.S., you can roam in several hundred countries for free. Now, it's slow. They slow it down to 2G, but I was able to use my T-Mobile phone without buying any international minutes, without even paying for them, at 2G speeds.
Unfortunately, there's nothing like that in Canada.
Oh, you're in Canada. That's right. Yeah, sorry.
It's really expensive on most here.
T-Mobile's owned by Deutsche Telekom. I suspect that's one of the reasons they can do that. So let me give you a great resource that everybody who travels should know about. It's called Prepaid with Data. It's a wiki, so people add to it all the time. They refine it, they improve it. They've done a great job. Prepaid with Data, one word, .wikia, WIKIA.com. Or you can just, if you Google Prepaid with Data, I think it'll take you right there. And that tells you country by country who the best carriers are, what SIM cards they offer, what the cost is for data, all of that stuff. It'll help you choose whose SIM card you buy. What's your country of entry?
I'm going to Amsterdam first.
Okay. So you probably buy something in the Netherlands. That's good news, by the way. I think the Netherlands will probably give you every choice that you imaginable, Orange and Deutsche Telekom and others.
And they'll all work on a GSM iPhone 5 and a OnePlus One.
OnePlus One is unlocked and will work with anything. The iPhone is locked, so you have.
I got it unlocked.
Good man. So there's so many issues with this. So there's carrier locking, which is when you buy a phone subsidized by a carrier, and now even when it's not subsidized by a carrier, they say you can't use a SIM from any other phone company in here. You have to get it carrier unlocked. You did that. Most companies will do that. They're kind of I think they're kind of required to do that, but they really fudge it. AT&T has some rules. T-Mobile has some rules. If you live up to their requirements, then you can do that. And then it doesn't matter. Yeah, you'll be able to put a SIM from any country in there, and it'll work just fine. The more modern iPhones, the 5 is older, but when you get to the 5S and later, even the LTE phones, this is the good news. Everybody's moving to LTE. This whole issue of GSM versus CDMA, an issue that we face in Canada as well as in the United States, where you have carriers in both technologies, and they were incompatible. You'd have to use the right phone with the right technology. That's all going away. Everybody's going LTE. Apple does not lock its LTE slots, so you'll be able to put in any more modern iPhone than the one you have. This will go away. This won't be a problem. You just put an LTE SIM in there. So go to Prepaid with Data, choose a carrier. It will tell you which countries that carrier supports. And all of this is supposedly going to go away next year when they require everybody to allow free roaming. Hey, that's a nice trip. How long are you going to be gone?
About a month. I'm leaving in actually like 4 weeks exactly.
Sounds great. That's, you know what? It's a good time of year. You go. There won't be any tourists. You'll be able to do the Christmas markets in all those places. They love Christmas.
You've been very helpful, by the way. I've been looking for resources.
And he fades away because the local Canadian telcos don't. Oh, he's back. Sorry, Luca. You briefly faded. Oh, he's still.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. You're on Skype, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can always tell the digital. Hey, well, I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. Have a great trip. And do some holiday shopping. All of those countries have amazing Christmas markets. They're beautiful. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. His name is Luca. He lives on the second floor.
I knew that was going to happen. Or Nathan
I didn't say it.
Or Nathan was going to play the song coming back.
He might. Chris Marquardt coming up in just a bit. Our show today brought to you by my favorite printer. Most of the photographers I work with love Epson printers, right? Epson solved one of the biggest challenges with black and white printing, I remember. And man, those Epson black and white printers, what was it called? Metamerizing? Something like that. They just are amazing. In fact, I remember very well having an Epson printer, and I think we had aftermarket fitted it with ink bags so that you didn't have to replace the cartridges all the time. Because if you're doing big prints, 15 by 19 prints or whatever, 14 by 19 prints and whatever, you're going to use a lot of black ink. So we had these ink bags. Maybe Epson sold them, and they're photo printers. For whatever reason, I think they've been inspired because the new Epson EcoTank printers, it's exactly how they work. And I love this idea. If you go to epson.com/EcoTank, EPSON.com/EcoTank, you can take a look at the variety of printers. All of these printers are using Epson's new precision core technology, which is a technology that came from their industrial printers. 40 million dots a second. Precise, precision placement. So you get laser quality black text. You get also things that are really convenient. There's no startup time. You get auto two-sided printing. There's a really nice, these are all-in-ones, there's a really nice auto document feeder. They're wireless too, so you set them up. You don't have to hook up to print from anything, which means you can print from your tablet and your smartphone as well. They support AirPrint and Google's Cloud Print. I scan to the cloud on my Epson. I love that. Scan right to Dropbox or to Google Drive. This is the EcoTank ET4550. It's an all-in-one printer. No ink cartridges. To see that on the right there, that is the ink tank. It holds the equivalent of 50 ink cartridges in there. And it comes in the box with that. So you could print 8,500 color pages. That's about 2 years worth of printing, and it's in the box. You won't be going to the ink store until 2017. That is awesome. And when you do, you won't be getting cartridges. You'll get inexpensive ink bottles. Or if you have the higher duty printers, you can get these ink bags. This low-cost replacement ink. I'm just a big fan of these. Epson has done the right thing for its users with the new EcoTank printers. Go to epson.com/EcoTank and print without running out of ink. Oh, I love it. Epson.com/EcoTank. Transform the way your home, office, or work group prints. We thank Epson for the support of the Tech Guy podcast. Epson, exceed your vision. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, our photographic expert, Chris Marquardt. He is the photo guy on the show. He also does a great podcast and workshops, too. You can find out more at discoverthetopfloor.com. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I am resisting so far successfully the urge to buy a film camera, although it's hard.
You haven't gone for the Mamiya just yet?
Not yet. In fact, a friend came by, Christopher Michael, is a great photographer, and he brought his Rolei. He has one of those dual lenses. You shoot belly shooters, you shoot down from the top.
A twin lens reflex.
Beautiful images.
A TLR.
Beautiful images. And I was looking carefully at the difference, because what he does, you talked a little bit about this last week. We're kind of reprising the segment. We'll move on in a second, but I just wanted to mention this to you. What he does, he doesn't develop it himself. He sends it off to a lab that not only develops it, but for a price scans the negative. So he gets back.
You can have that done.
He gets back digital negatives, which you can work with. But it's still filmic, and he showed me some comparisons. He has a very nice A7 R2 camera with a Noctilux, a beautiful Noctilux like lens. But the film, you know what? It's just like film in the movies. It's not as good, really. I mean, technically, it's grainy, it's contrasty, but it looks better.
Okay, I give you about 2 weeks.
No, don't. I don't want
The way you talk about it, I think you caught the bug.
Oh.
I think you did. There's no way back.
So what do we want to talk about today? What should I buy now?
Any inputs? Well, I'll give you another week. I'll give you some tips on what to look for buying in a used analog camera. You had a big storm just the other day,
Yes,
right?
we did, and the power went out last night. Yeah.
All right. You know what? I love bad weather, especially when it comes to photography. And it does have to do with, well, okay, you might get wet. Yes, your camera might get a bit wet, but it has to do with the backgrounds. It has to do with what's going on behind your subject. You know, the background can distract. Absolutely. There can be too much going on in the background, so you have stuff just like growing out of someone's head, for example.
No, that's not good.
But it also can help. It can complement the foreground in some way. Backgrounds do have functions, you know. The background can give you a context. The background can give you a contrast. But again, what do you do with the distraction? This is where bad weather can come in. Go to tftf.com/backgrounds. There is a little gallery with a few pictures on there. And the thing is, I had this big epiphany when I was once out shooting in fog, really big, really thick fog, you know, fog that you can really not see beyond, let's say, 10 feet. And what that did is it turned the background, a very busy background, into nothing.
Magic.
So all of a sudden, there was this magical, this magical row of trees standing out from the background. It was so amazing. And that's when I started to look more for bad weather, because in addition to, like, when it's raining, in addition to having the reflections on the roads and maybe no one else is out there because because it's raining, you might also just have a very clean background, something that takes the entire level of distractions out of the picture. So
now I noticed you made these black and white, these pictures with the mist.
The one that you're just looking at, the trees and the two foxes, there's not black and white. That's what the mist,
the color's gone.
Makes it black and white, because there's almost no color there. So even a very subtle level of color is still gonna.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Register.
Here's some herons or some sort of egrets or something. And
those are cranes.
Cranes and a beautiful tree. Kind of
and it's
late
so simple.
Autumn. Oh, but there is a little color in the tree, a little red, and that actually makes it even more wonderful. That's really beautiful.
And there is a background. If there wasn't any fog, there would be a forest in the background. You wouldn't be able to see the tree. There would be so much distraction going on. This just cleaned up the entire picture.
It's really nice. That's TF, as in, this is Tips from the Top Floor. This is his podcast. TF.com/background. But
backgrounds.
But what we'll do is we'll put a link in the show notes, techguylabs.com. That's probably the easiest thing to do, so you can see some of these images Chris has offered for us. That's kind of cool. I was on a photo trip to Tasmania some years ago, and I was so disappointed because the sky was overcast the whole time. And I felt like it was these landscape photos were just uninteresting because the sky was so bland.
Well, if you use them to your advantage, if you make use of that. By the way, overcast skies are not bad, especially for digital cameras, because they can take contrast out of the picture. So you end up with a picture that fits into what we call the dynamic range of the sensor. It can capture all the highlights and all the shadows and everything in one picture easily, and then take that into your favorite image editor, Lightroom or Aperture or Photos Now, and crank up that contrast slider and see what that does to these kind of pictures. Yeah. Pictures under overcast skies, you can do magical things with them in post-production.
Here's one where the background is blurred because somebody's skateboarding, but he's, of course, crisp. Another way to get rid of the background, right?
Exactly. That's another way to take care of a busy background, by blurring it. And the way I did it here with this skateboarder is I did what's called a panning shot. I moved the camera with the skateboarder. Yeah. And this way the background got a bit blurred and the skateboarder is still in focus, and that sets him apart from the background. And sometimes you need a busy background.
Here's this Times Square, a picture of a marshmallow in Times Square or something.
whatever
that is.
With the costumes on are. But this needs the background because Times Square is busy, visually busy. There's lots of lights at night. There's lots of marquees and stuff. And this would not work without a busy background.
Photography is so much fun, isn't it? It's so much fun. I just love it. And we have a little assignment, not a competition. The idea is just to get you out there taking pictures. It doesn't have to be a fancy camera. Nowadays, camera phones are so good that some of the pictures we reviewed in the past, last time, in fact, were from camera phones. So don't feel intimidated. You can take a picture in any form you want. What is the assignment this month, Chris Marquardt?
It's orange.
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 The word or the color or the fruit. Well, we're not going to tell you.
I think I made I added a restriction in there. No pumpkins.
Nope. You said no vegetable matter of any kind.
Oh, no vegetables.
No fruit. No vegetables. Nothing. So orange, not a pumpkin. And here's how it works. You take the picture. You can do one a week. You submit it to the Tech Guy group on Flickr. That's free to join. Flickr.com. Renee Silverman, our moderator there, will welcome you with open arms as you join the group. And then you can upload a picture. Make sure you tag it with the word orange. And Chris will pick 3 to review soon, right? Like next week or the week after?
I think the week after next week.
All right. We'll do it Thanksgiving week, the weekend after Thanksgiving, which is perfect. Orange, no pumpkin. Like Chris's coat is orange. That's one way to do it. Orange, no
It is. Lots of
pumpkin.
orange stuff here. Orange.
And you could play with that, couldn't you? And figure out which background you might want to have. Play with the lessons that you get from the show. Chris,
I love pictures with a good background. Backgrounds are important.
Pumpkin is not a vegetable, it's a squash, somebody's saying in the chat room. All right, whatever. Whatever. If you want to take Chris's workshops, learn more about his work, go to discoverthetopfloor.com, and he joins us every week, most every week when he's not teaching, and talks about digital photography. It's such a great hobby. And now cameras, even the least expensive point-and-shoots, sub-$100 point-and-shoots, are so good, there's no excuse. If you have the hankering to make some images, you can. Go out there and take some pictures. We'll see you next week, Chris.
See you.
Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. You were in the hospital this week?
Oh, just a little standard procedure.
All right. Good. So you're fine. No emergencies. I didn't even know that.
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
Good.
So you played with a Rolex?
No, I'm not going to buy a Rolex. Although they're pretty cool.
If you need advice, actually, I'm just working on the translation for our film photography book. So, it's sometimes in April, May. It will probably be out.
I'll show
in the
you
States. It has suggestions for buying a used analog camera.
Well, I looked at Rolleiflexes on eBay. You followed my recipe exactly? Yes. Thank you. There's my balsamic vinegar. Thank you. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
No bean sprouts and no bell peppers.
Yeah, I just put there whatever you see. Yeah, okay. So this is a picture of Kai Ryssdal, who is a radio host in the United States. Very, very popular. This Chris Michael took this. And this is another, whoops, that's not the way to do it. And this is the other one. And
yep.
Yeah, and you can
tell. Medium format, clearly.
Yeah, you immediately see the difference, partly because of the aspect ratio. But when I look at this, I don't see a lot of grain. But it's also a little lighter in the contrast. The detail's good. It might be more accurate. When you look at the film, it's grainy. There's kind of contrasty. Might be even a little underexposed. But there's some quality to the portrait. And this is what Chris is saying. It's just some ineffable quality that just makes you want to shoot film.
Definitely. And the bigger size changes things as well. I mean, it's not
agree
just,
too.
It's not just the grain and the contrast and things. It's the bigger piece of film or the bigger piece of light-sensitive surface that makes everything, that changes everything in terms of the depth of field, how the background is rendered, how you can... I mean, you can shoot a wide angle with a large format camera. You can shoot wide angle, and you still have shallow depth of field. You can never do this with a smaller sensor.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I forgot about that. And this is Tri-X, so it is a little. Tri-X is a grainier, faster film, but I like it. I like the look. I used to shoot a lot of Tri-X. I used to roll,
it's still being produced. They still make it.
Yeah. I said, where do I get it? He said, Amazon.
Oh, Amazon, B&H, wherever you want to get it. There's lots.
And
of
I found
places.
some, Rolei. He uses a Rolei 2.8F.
Oh, those are the expensive ones.
They're not that expensive. I mean, they may be they're expensive considering
Well,
it's a film
you'll
camera.
probably get one for around $1,000
Yeah,
with
it's
the
around
2.8.
Yeah.
The 3.5 lens are quite a bit cheaper.
He says he really likes 2.8.
Oh, it is better. It's more fun.
It's 2.8 is the aperture? Is that what it's referring to?
That's the maximum aperture.
Okay.
That's the biggest aperture the lens can do.
Yeah.
And they made those two different. Well, I mean, lots of different models, but that's the big differences. The 3.5 and the 2.8. That's the main differentiator. Don't get a baby Rolleiflex because you won't be able to get the film for that.
Yeah, no, these are all 120s.
Yep. Oh.
It's actually good for me not to buy something right away.
I'll bring my Rolleiflex next week. And
Oh,
we'll
that's
talk
right. You
about it.
use a Rollei. That's right. You're going to be here next week?
No.
You're just on the show. Okay.
On the show.
Yeah.
It's Leo fighting.
I am fighting.
Against desires.
I have an amazing camera and lens. Amazing.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
No excuse for me to buy anything more ever again.
Well, you will find one, I'm pretty sure.
All right. Thank you, Christopher.
All right.
See you later.
Next week.
You too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 88. Ask Leo. Let's move on to John in Elisa Viejo, California. Hey, John.
Hey, Leo. How you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Wonderful. Just need your extra expertise advice, like everyone else is calling in for.
Okay.
On the TVs, I have a Plasma, one of the first smart TVs. It's 5 years old. It's still got great picture. But it's kind of like it's getting a little darker. So I don't know if that's tales of signs of showing that's going to.
Yeah, Plasma does that. Plasma does. It doesn't go out. What it does is Plasma works by exciting a gas, the cells in little cell, and the gas leaks very, very slowly. But as it leaks, the screen will dim. Okay. And it's irreversible. There's nothing you can do about it. It's worse at, of course, higher elevation. But I think Plasma's the real problem is you can't replace it. Nobody is doing Plasma anymore, which is a shame because everybody agrees it was the best picture, much better than LCD.
Absolutely. And it gave me that wow factor back 5 years ago.
I agree.
And I'm looking at the Samsung 65. My Plasma I have now is 65. So I'm looking at the Samsung 65 LED, the 4K, the SUHD. And what's your recommendation on that one? I want to stick with Samsung. What do you recommend? Do you like that TV?
Yeah, Samsung's fine. So we're right on the cusp of 4K becoming a standard. They call it UHD. And in particular, there is a part of the standard that I really think you want called HDR, High Dynamic Range. Okay. And not all TVs can do that. I don't know if that TV can or cannot, but I would look for that. There is a UHD standard that's I think it's about to emerge or it's emerging. They said this fall that the standard would emerge. And when that standard, it's the UHD Alliance. Samsung, of course, is a member of it. I believe the first SUHD TVs were from Sony, I want to say. But Samsung's doing it. Actually, maybe for the first SUHDs were Samsung, come to think of it. I would probably, how much of a difference is it going to make? Not a lot, but it's future-proofing you. If you get a TV that adheres to the SUHD standard, it has the color gamut, for instance, that's spec'd out. It has the high frame rate. It has the HDR. Then you're going to be most compatible with the new Blu-ray players that come out, which are also supposed to come out this month.
That's my concern. Should I wait till next year?
It's not that it won't work. Any TV you buy today will work next year and the year after and the year after. Will it get the best possible picture out of the sources that you're getting? I think you can buy this year, but it's going to be pricier, and that's what you want to look for: SUHD, HDR.
Yes.
And if you can find that in that TV, I would say, yeah. There won't be a lot of content yet. Most of the content for 4K is streaming. And streaming compresses it so heavily that I can't imagine you're getting any of the benefit of it. What you really want is, just as with HD, the best quality is going to come from a disc. And there are Blu-ray players, new SUHD players supposedly coming out this month.
Sure.
You'll be spending more because you're getting the newest.
Yes. Well, no. Right now, I'm looking at the ones that came out this year, 2015, around in March or
those will not be part of the SUHD standard.
Oh, they won't.
No.
So I need to wait.
If you want SUHD, to my knowledge, they're just now coming out. That's what they said at CES in January. They would be coming out late 2015.
Okay. So wait for those then. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I hesitate saying that because I don't know how big a difference it's going to be.
Sure.
But if you're buying a TV and it's not urgent, you got a very nice TV and you're it's getting dimmer, but it's not gone yet.
Yes.
If you could wait 6 months, yeah.
Okay.
The landscape, at least the landscape will have cleared a little bit in 6 months. We'll know what's going to happen, how much it's going to cost. We should have good content available. Right now, the 4K content's from Netflix and Vudu and other streamers. You might get some benefit from that. You also want to look at, as we did when 1080p came out, when HD came out, the ability for these sets to upscale, to take 1080p content and turn it into 4K content. If they do a good job with that, that may be a benefit as well. So there's a lot of things to think about. This is a good question for our home theater guy, Scott Wilkinson. But he and I think are pretty much in agreement that these standards are going to make a difference, especially high dynamic range, and movies are being shot that way now. So, yeah, I think if in 2 years you would look back and say, shoot, I just missed it.
Yeah, just missed it.
Missed it by that much.
Okay, well, this TV does say it's 4K SUHD.
There you go. All right.
So that's the one I wanted.
That's what you want. And now look at the HDR. I'm sure it is if it's SUHD. At least it supports that color gamut, which is, I think that's fairly important.
Okay. All right. Hey, thanks, Leo. Thanks
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is one of those things where, we're right on the cusp of a new technology. And, it's, if you care a lot, and obviously you do, if you care a lot about the image, it probably is a good idea to really wait till it settles out so you know what the best sets are. This is all so new. If you can wait 6 months, I think you'll know more. Let's go to Blue, Vista, California. Hi, Blue. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. You are the tech guy.
All right. Thank you, Blue. Why do people... You don't have to kiss up to me. I'll answer your question even if you don't,
Well, I have to. I've been waiting so long.
I'm so sorry.
No problem. Listen, here's the deal. Okay, so about 2 years ago, I basically, I went on to the public beta thing and I paid the $99 to do the Yosemite beta and so forth and so on. Okay, never had a problem.
So you're an official Apple developer.
No, I'm not. I'm just...
well, when you pay the $99, whether you want to be or not, you are an official Apple developer. Now, the good news is you don't have to do that anymore. They have public betas you don't have to pay for.
Right. Okay. So that's...
you must have really wanted to test that pre-release software.
Correct. Yes, I did. So I've got a 2011 iMac, okay?
Yeah.
Really, I have a daughter that's in Florida, and the only thing that we do is just FaceTime.
Isn't that awesome? That's what I do with my mom in Rhode Island.
Yes.
And it's great because it's almost like being there. It's really great. Yeah.
It is. I figured, I said, hey, listen, I need to get this thing, done. And here's what's happening. Once I updated and upgraded, I basicdo stripped out and formatted and did...
Good, because that was my first advice. When you've been doing beta testing, do a clean install of El Capitan. That is absolutely my first advice.
And that's exactly what I did. And they told me, I've spoken to 4 tech support people at Apple, and no one seems to be able to take care of this. I've been on various forums. I've reinstalled, clean install. I did a CNC reset. I did a PRAM reset. I did a full restore again. and every time it seems that it happens.
We're gonna hold on. We gotta take a break. Just hang on for a second. I have a solution for you, and I'll tell you that right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All right. Sorry about that, Blue. I had to just do that, but I'm back.
Okay.
We're not on the radio. We're on the podcast, but that's okay. So, what is the error message you're getting with FaceTime?
Okay. No camera available.
Yes.
And then when I go into the system report, I go to camera. And it says no video capture device.
Okay.
Okay. So now I was told to do the sudo kill all VDCA assistant.
Right.
I did that, and I unplugged all my devices. I got it to work for 4 seconds. Once I plugged in all my devices, a Thunderbolt, Lacy hard drive, external hard drive, and some USB. Once again, it killed it again. And now I'm stuck. So I finally, Friday night...
So here's the thing that's interesting. When you killed the VCD assistant, it worked. It didn't work forever, but it worked for a few seconds. So what that tells us is the reason it sees no camera is somebody else has captured the camera, in this case, the VCD assistant. And by the way, I'm looking at the Apple support communities, and that's exactly the fix that they suggest. Where is your camera attached? Is it? Do you have an iMac? What do you have?
I have an iMac for 2011.
And you're using the camera built in?
That's correct.
All right. And the VCD assistant, when you killed it, you restarted immediately, right?
Correct.
And it worked for 4 seconds.
For about 4 seconds. It came on. I was able to FaceTime. As soon as I tried to place a call, boom, it crashed.
And yeah. I'm sure you've also gone to FaceTime menu, video, select the camera, and you've selected the camera on your the built-in camera, right?
Right, but once it kills, you don't have that menu.
Ah, interesting. All right.
You see, you don't have that menu. It says no camera, and it just locks up. You don't see anything. There's no drop down.
When you have you tried using the photo booth app to see if the camera's working?
Yes, and it doesn't.
It works. It does or does not?
It does not. I did that first because that's what I went through all these forums, and that's what they say. Try, and then I even downloaded Skype and tried Google Hangouts. Same thing.
Huh. And you don't have a second monitor or second camera hooked up to it, do you?
No. And the last guy from Apple called me from Florida as well. What a coincidence, right? And he was the last, the upper.
Yeah, if they call you from Florida, that's the high levels guy. Yeah.
Right. So he called me and he said, "Well, I'm afraid to tell you that. Could it be a coincidence that just the camera's dead and it's a hardware? We can refer you over to the Apple store. They can do a free diagnostics because it's out of warranty. But if they find that it is a hardware issue, then you'll have to pay for the repair. If it's software," I said, "Well, what do I have you for?" So he logged into and he saw that, the same thing. He says that's the same thing that you've done. That's what I would have done. So now I'm saying to myself, well, this can't be. I mean, this can't be a hardware issue. It just cannot be a hardware issue.
Well, it could be. I agree with you. It's unlikely. But what they're saying is, oh, we're baffled. So, and that's, if you can take it, I know it's a pain, but if you can take it into the Apple store, they can at least tell you if it's a hardware issue. They can see whether they can see it. They can't do that over the phone. I can't do that over the phone. And if it is a hardware issue, it's a bad coincidence, right? Because you upgraded El Capitan and then it failed. Oh, well, but coincidences happen. It is interesting though this VCD assistant process, killing it worked. That I find intriguing because that means the camera is working, right?
Correct.
It really feels to me like the VCD assistant is the problem. And I'm looking at this thread, which obviously either you or they looked at. My FaceTime camera is not working in El Capitan. Now, this is with a Thunderbolt display, but I think it'd be kind of kind of similar.
You know what's strange though? If I disconnect all of my devices, right, Thunderbolt, right? I have a hard drive, external hard drive, and I have a choice of 3.0 USB or Thunderbolt. And if I disconnect all the devices and I do a PRAM, wait for the second tone, boot up, and I do the SMC reset, the camera will work for about 4 seconds.
Interesting. So that's interesting. So you're resetting. What you're doing there is resetting the USB bus, and So boy, that's interesting. Might be a USB issue. The camera, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if the camera's internal USB, right? So a USB issue could cause that problem.
And I sent them. I sent them the report, and they still haven't, gotten back to me. But they know.
So it works.
This is a problem.
It works when there's nothing connected to the iMac. It's just the iMac, but it only works for 4 seconds and it dies again.
Correct. Yes.
You know what? I think one good diagnostic to do would be open the activity monitor. You know that?
Activity monitor?
Yeah, okay. It's in the utilities folder.
Okay.
And it shows you what's running.
Okay.
And after you kill VCD Assist, it sounds like it's restarting. So what I think the thing to do here for a diagnostic purpose is take a look at this activity monitor. If you want to use the sudo kill VCD Assist, you could do that, or you can actually kill it in the monitor. You can, if you see VCD.
Now, there's a script that's available, Leo. There's a script that's available that I use seems to. It's called. It is called camerafix.app.zip.
Yeah.
And that's a script that allows you to enter your password, or your administrator password.
Yeah.
And then it automatically does that for you.
Over and over and over again.
Well, you have to engage it. It doesn't sit in the background, or it's not active in the background.
If you use Skype, can you see the camera? I would guess if you can't see the camera with a photo booth, you're not going to be able to see it with anything.
Correct.
So here's what's happening. I think something's grabbing the camera, and because it owns the camera, it's not letting anything else see it. It's interesting. Are you going to take off? All right, Larry. It's great to meet you. Thanks for coming. See ya.
Did you say activity monitor in utilities?
Yeah, it's called Activity Monitor, and you could see if VCD Assist is starting up. Look at CPU and see if it's starting up. In other words, once you kill it, if it comes back. I got to run, but we'll keep looking for. Keep looking for an answer on this one. That's an interesting issue. And frustrating. I've had problems with the Apple USB chain in the past. I would bring it in and get the hardware test, frankly. Rule that out. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, and all that jazz. Anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. I spent a little more time with Blue and Vista trying to go through the diagnostic. He was having trouble with his FaceTime camera. He's talked to Apple. Apple's saying maybe the hardware is bad. Bring it in. He doesn't want to do that. I would at least do that. At least you could rule out a hardware error. Something's going on. It's really amazing that computers work at all, to be honest with you. It's so complicated. There's so much stuff running in the background. There's so many interacting processes. It's amazing that they work at all, to be honest. Kenny in Texas is next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Kenny.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
All right. What can I do for you?
Yes, I make my own ringtones for the iPhone, and I'd like to know if there's anything else that would play them so I can kind of hear what they sound like besides...
Yeah, iTunes will play them.
I know, but I'd like to kind of like use another thing so I could just quickly go, through each ringtone.
Well, you could also do it on your phone. Once you add a ringtone to your iPhone, it'll show up in the sounds choice picker, and you can try it that way. You want something on your computer, or you want something on your phone?
On the computer.
Yeah, that will play them back. They are, it's kind of funny. There really is nothing special about a ringtone on iPhone. It's just, it's basically the same AAC file with a different file extension. They're physically the same. So anything that can play back AAC files will be able to play back those files. So one thing you could do that would be very fast and easy is use the search function on your Mac. You have a Mac or a PC?
It's a PC. With Windows 7 Ultimate.
So that's a little trickier because I don't know if the PC has anything to play back AAC files besides iTunes. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's maybe... I'm just trying to think of, I bet Winamp would do it. But what you want to do is you want to, the ringtones are M4R files. I think that's the extension. So what you would do is use your search tool that's built into Windows and search for all the files with that extension. And then you can just play them. You'll have a window, one after the other. With, VLC, we've mentioned that before. That'll play them. Pretty sure Winamp will play them. Anything that can play back that kind of audio should be able to play it just fine. So the key is to find them. Now, the way Apple, I don't know how you're making the ringtones. If you're using iTunes to make the ringtones, the way iTunes makes a ringtone is it basically takes a chunk, renames that file, and it leaves it in the same folder that the original is. It just adds M4R as the extension. And that's unfortunate because it means that those ringtones are spread out all over the place. iTunes will collate them into the ringtones header so you can see them all, but there's no one folder with all your ringtones in it. You can absolutely find them and move them into a folder and then play them that way as well. So Winamp, VLC, those will all play it back. The trick is finding them. And if you haven't already moved them into a single folder, maybe that's the thing to do. And that way you'll always be able to play them. Alan in Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, Alan.
I have, a series of questions because I'm looking at getting a laptop. I need to. The last one, I like kind of leading edge stuff. I've been looking a little bit into the Skylake and i7, but not sure I need it type of thing. Looking to stay around $1,000 on the budget. But I'm looking to use it, and the last one I've used is like, I don't know a lot of these words. I mean, this is so techy. As you get deeper into it, I'm looking at, oh my God.
It's funny because nobody really cares anymore about what the processor or the RAM. These have become appliances. It'd be like asking, well, what processor's in my microwave oven? If it cooks the food, it cooks the food. Now, Skylake is the latest generation Intel processor. It's, in some ways better than the previous generation. Almost guarantee you wouldn't be able to tell if you sat down at a Broadwell computer and a Skylake computer that were identical in every other way. You wouldn't be able to say, oh, well, I can tell that's Skylake. It's just not that big a difference.
Okay.
So you might be over worrying about the details on this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because I'm looking like for video rendering, and that's the
okay.
Multiple things.
Yeah, you may notice the difference there. That is one of the hardest things to do for a computer is transcode video from one compression format to another, or to take video transitions, things like that, and render them out. That's hard work. And so a faster processor, more cores, more RAM, all of those will make a big difference. In fact, the speed of your hard drive will make a difference. So what program are you working in?
Well, and there's a lot of those decisions yet to be made, but I'll be going into the, what's the one called that,
Premiere? Premiere? Or you're doing this on a Mac?
No, it's on a PC. But what I want to do is, as I understand it, it's coming out in for PCs. Is it not the editing pro? What's it called?
Final Cut? No,
there's
no PC version of Final Cut, and never will be.
Oh, well,
you'll be using probably Adobe Premiere. It's either Avid, Adobe Premiere, Sony Vegas. No, Apple's never going to make Final Cut for PCs.
Sony Vegas, I've used that before, and I never came to like it.
All right, yeah, it's kind of. I think we use Premiere. It's kind of, I think, the standard for this for a lot of the kinds of editing. Movie and television shows often use Avid, but that's a little higher end. Premiere's fine, and Premiere does the transcoding and does all that stuff. So are you editing videos? What is it you're doing?
Well, that's the direction I'm learning right now because for example, the computer I've got right now, I've been using literally from morning to night. It's on doing something, whether I'm at it or not.
Wow.
And it just gets hot. And it's, so I'm looking at what's the difference between, like in the Dell world, what's the difference between a Latitude and an XPS and an Inspira? I can't tell. I know Latitude says it's for the workhorse for the business, right?
Yeah. So the bigger distinction in PCs, at least, is between the consumer grade, cheaper ones. Those are the $500, $600 computers, and the professional grade. They're $1,000, $1,100, $1,200. And the difference really is not so much processor, although there will be that, and RAM. It's just the quality of the components that are used, the attention that's given to the details. And I think if you're using it for business, you want to get the professional model. Those are going to be more reliable. They're going to last longer. They're not going to get as hot. And they will have the latest processors. What you're going to, I don't think you have to sweat the details. I understand what you're saying is, I want to do video editing. I want a faster machine that can handle this. And you get the latest, you're absolutely right, Skylake processors. You get an i7. The difference between the i5 and the i7 is multi-threading. You can get a 4-core processor, but you can get that 4-core processor, well, each of them can do 2 things. That's called multi-threading. And that means you could do 8 things on a 4-core processor. If you really got serious, and what we use for our editing, you may not go with a core processor. You might go with a Xeon, which is their server processor. It's a little more robust, and that will support error-correcting memory. But all of these things start to add up a lot. So I guess the question really is, well, how much do you want to spend? How is this your job? Is this something you're learning? You could probably get by with any fairly late model, high quality PC, an i7, yeah. Get as much RAM as you can afford. 16 gigs, 32 would be even better. An SSD, at least for boot up. The solid state drives are so much faster. And I'm not sure, it depends on the program. I'm not sure if rendering is sped up by disk I/O or not. You have to kind of investigate to see what the program you're going to use is and what resources it needs. If it needs a faster drive, an SSD. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, our show today brought to you by ZipRecruiter. I love ZipRecruiter. You will too if you have to do the hiring in your biz, whether that's because you're the sole proprietor or because you're the HR person, whoever does the hiring. Kudos. That's the most, well, I don't want to say the most important, but is one of the most important jobs because the people you hire determine the success of your business. A bad hire is a nightmare. A great hire, to the moon. So it's really important that you get the right people. Now, the question is, how do you do it? Of course, in this day and age, it's really easy to reach out thanks to all those job boards all over there. But there are a lot of job boards. And where is that candidate? Let's presume there is Mr. or Ms. Right out there. Where is that person hanging out? How do you get to them? That's why I love ZipRecruiter, because with ZipRecruiter, you post to more than 100 job boards with one click of the mouse. Not only that, you're posting to social networks, Craigslist. Your listing goes out, man. The more places it goes, the more likely Mr. or Ms. Right's going to see it, right? That one person that's going to take your business to the next level. And I don't care if it's the guy scrubbing out the laundry room or the person putting the stuff in the boxes. It's a good employee's gold. Now, ZipRecruiter is awesome because not only does it post to all those job sites, they also have almost 6 million current resumes, and they'll immediately match those up. Within a day, within 24 hours, you will be getting applicants. Not on your email, not to your phone. No, you don't want that. Those applicants will show up in the ZipRecruiter interface, where it's very easy to screen out the ones that just don't meet your needs, and to rank them, and then to pick the right person fast. I mean, really fast. ZipRecruiter's been used by over 400,000 businesses, and you can try it right now for free. For free. We got an email from one of our listeners, Scott. He's a happy ZipRecruiter client. He said the recruiting process used to be so painful. Before I'd post to several places, we'd get 1 million resumes, only a few responses from qualified candidates. It was torture. But with ZipRecruiter, we post once, we get qualified candidates in one easy-to-review place. We have hired some of our best employees using ZipRecruiter, and that's what it's all about. Try it free right now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. You got 4 days to use the best system for hiring there ever was. ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. Try it free right now. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Carol in Manhattan Beach, you're next. Hi, Carol.
Hi there, Leo. Thank you for taking the call.
Oh, thanks for calling.
I have a follow-up on an earlier question.
Okay.
I would like to get a bronze gold Note 4, and they don't sell that in the U.S. I want to know if I can buy it in Europe and use it here in the U.S.
Who's your cell phone company?
Well, T-Mobile, but I don't care who it is right now. I want that color phone.
Yeah, no, T-Mobile will work, no problem. It's a GSM carrier. The only issue, and you can do this, there are lots of European companies that sell online. You might even look at Expansys. It's the one I buy from, EXPANSYS. Make sure you're getting an unlocked phone, carrier unlocked. And you're probably going to get, it will be a European region phone, and the only issue that comes up on that is the radios in the phone. Does it support all the frequencies that the U.S. carriers use? Generally, it'll work fine as a phone. What you may find sometimes is it won't support the latest LTE frequencies, the data frequencies. It'll support 4G but not LTE, or 3G but not 4G. And it usually, if you go to a company like Expansys, they sell a lot in the U.S., they'll tell you. You can also search for it. So you can get that color. The only issue might be that it almost certainly will work. Whether it will work in all the frequencies and at all the speeds is the only question.
Okay, so texting would be okay?
Oh, yeah, texting, phone calls would be fine. Data will even be fine. You just, it doesn't, I've done this, it never bothers me. It works just fine. But some people say, well, but it needs this radio, it needs band 9 or whatever, and it doesn't. So that's the only thing that happens sometimes when you buy a phone that's for the Europe region.
Yes. Okay, Expansys. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Expansys, EXPANSYS is one of the places I've gone in the past. And you can often get phones there that aren't sold in the U.S. or aren't yet sold in the U.S. I've purchased Samsung phones there before, and I see one of them was the Latin America model. I often get the Singapore model, and you get it, and maybe the default language is different, but it's easy to fix that. It's really mostly comes down to the frequencies, and nowadays that's kind of going away too. There's a kind of more of a unification of all of this, so I wouldn't worry too much. Chris, Pasadena, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, man. I've got an interesting problem. I do a lot of slideshows. I'm using a Toshiba laptop, which is recently, about a month ago, went to System 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using a ViewSonic projector. I use the sRGB port because I use a long cable.
Yeah.
And right at the end of my most recent slideshow, thankfully, the sRGB port started outputting a screen background, from the personalization file. And it wasn't on the desktop, and I'm not using that background. It just came up and took over the screen.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
There are a couple of possibilities. One is that the laptop is set to extend the screen, not mirror the screen. I presume you want it to mirror. In other words, the same thing on the computer that you see on the big screen.
Yeah, that's what it's been doing.
Okay. So make sure that setting, the display setting, is still set to mirror, not extend.
Okay.
Because so you may have, a lot of people want it to extend. Let's say I'm using the laptop, but I want to have a big screen and I want to use both screens. I'll have my Twitter feed in the laptop and I'll have my Excel spreadsheet in the desk, the big screen. That might have different wallpaper. So it's not unusual to have different wallpaper on each screen. So you might be you're seeing wallpaper with nothing else because that's the extended screen. So make sure it's still mirroring.
Okay.
That's most likely what it is. Sometimes. So tell me again, you're using what kind of cable? A VGA cable?
sRGB. Yeah.
sRGB. You mean a VGA cable?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and that's connected to a projector.
Yeah.
And what you're playing back, the slideshow you're playing back, it's in PowerPoint, or what is it made in?
I was using PowerPoint when this happened because it was at a fundraiser for a local nonprofit.
Yeah.
But most of the shows I do, I run them out of Adobe Bridge.
Okay.
Running full screen mode.
Yeah.
Because the resolution's beautiful.
Yeah, none of this should matter. If you were playing back a Blu-ray DVD on a laptop through the VGA cable, you might get some strange results because of copy protection. But you're not doing anything that's copy protected, so it's not going to be that.
Yeah, I'm just using images that are on the computer.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be that. I think mainly just go in your display control panel and make sure that you are not in extended mode. I think you are. Sometimes PowerPoint will do that by default. It'll say, oh, that's a setting in PowerPoint. It may be that PowerPoint was fixing it, and you didn't realize that, and then when you went to Bridge, it didn't do that.
Okay.
Because PowerPoint, you can say, I want to see presenter notes, or I want to see the same thing on my screen as I'm seeing on the big screen. Different, people have different desires on that. I usually like to see a special presenter display on my screen that shows how long I've talked, my presenter notes, and what the next slide will be. That means I'm going to have that be extended displays because I want a different display on two different screens. Mirroring, they would see my notes. They wouldn't see the slideshow.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Yeah, I bet you PowerPoint was, handling that because it's a setting in PowerPoint. And then when you went to Bridge, which Bridge doesn't know from external screens or not, it said, oh, yeah, you want an extended screen. That's obvious. Stefan, Montebello, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Stefan. Am I saying your name right? Stefan? Emilio is in Texas. Hi, Emilio. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, what's up, bro?
What's up?
Keeping it real. Glad you keep it real about the Apple Watch, by the way. That's what's up. Kudos to that. And I got a shirt, so I'm going to be representing so people will know more about who you are.
Right on, dude. What kind of shirt you get?
Just a standard Twitch shirt.
Did you get the new one that's got all the colors?
Yeah.
That's a pretty one. Have you gotten it yet?
It should be coming this week, I hope. I just got the notification on Friday or Saturday.
Thank you for getting that. Yeah, we do these like limited edition because we want to make it fun. And one of our great designers, Anthony Nielsen, did a beautiful design. It's very unusual.
Yeah, it's my first time sponsoring a podcast or whatever.
Thank you. You're a kind and generous fellow.
Well, I figure for the amount of hours y'all get listening to me, I can do something and contribute back. So
thank you. Well, maybe I can help you. What can I do for you today?
So I'm blind, and I've called before about this issue, but I'm just curious, what can be done with the Evernote app? It's not very accessible with the Mac and VoiceOver, and I know I have written before, and others have written before that are blind, and the response just doesn't seem that favorable in terms of importance, and it's such a shame because Evernote works great with DevonSync, which is another awesome app.
Love DevonSync, yeah.
It's somewhat problematic on the desktop.
So is it a screen reader issue? What is it that's not working?
It's not the screen reader issue. I'm presuming from the way I know VoiceOver that it's the development of the program. There's things that I guess...
We got to take a break because the network out. Hold on. I want to come back and talk a little bit about it. Evernote's going through some changes, and I'm a little concerned. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We've been talking to Emilio in Texas. He uses Evernote. He's a blind user. Now, I understand that what is the issue, the accessibility issue with Evernote? What is it that you want Evernote to do that it isn't doing?
Just a few things. I'm not asking for the barnyard. I just want it to give me the option to access my notebook, and within the access of the notebook, then be able to find the file that I want to either edit or review.
And you want to do that by speech, or how do you?
Yeah, well, I use speech already, right? So having Evernote be compatible with the voiceover speech program for the Mac.
That's sigh. Isn't that terrible? They really ought to be.
And it's like...
And it's been a long time, right? I mean, people have been asking. Yeah. I see posts from 2009, people asking for this.
Yeah, I'm not asking for a lot. I mean, if other people can make accessible and just include a little bit, I mean...
Well, I'm with you, brother. I think this is a duty for anybody who's making software is to make sure that it is accessible. And now, admittedly, there are lots of different needs, and you can't make it work for everybody. But this is pretty basic. I mean, I agree with you. Your voiceover should allow you to open a notebook, to add to a notebook, things like that. I think I'm a little worried about Evernote. I'm a little worried about them. They've been going through some troubles. Phil Libin, who I love and is a friend, in fact, he's still chairman of the board, but he's really moved on. I just saw that their COO, who just started running the company this summer, has left. There seems to be trouble in River City. Evernote has been struggling a little bit. The thing that by the way, I'm one of its earliest and strongest supporters. In fact, Phil once told me about 5% of their referrals historically came from me. So I take some responsibility for people using it. It's a great note-taking app. I love it because it works on every platform: Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, web as well, and you can store stuff there and access it anytime you need it. It's just great. But they've done some things, I think. Remember, it's free, and then there's a premium version.
The premium, right?
Yeah, Phil used to tell me that there's about a 5% conversion rate. So
I would be willing to pay.
Yeah,
I would be willing to give you my money if you just make it work for me.
Well, if everything was going great for them right now, I might say, well, you have a shot at that. But now I'm starting to worry. I don't know what the future holds for Evernote. They did Hello and Food and a bunch of stuff.
Right, I remember all that.
Yeah, and they've killed it because they were spread out all over the place. Instead, focus, make your core app a better app. And I think accessibility would be a great place to start. I'm with you.
For the little bit that I can do with the iOS version, it's okay. Again, it's lacking the ability to edit documents well enough for me to be able to know what I'm doing.
Right.
But when I put stuff into Evernote with the tagging and things, it really makes it seem. I mean, DevonThink, it really makes it real seamless and real great.
How's the accessibility in DevonThink? Is it pretty good?
DevonThink, oh my gosh, you have no clue. Like,
they do a good job.
Amazing.
Not as well known as they deserve to be.
I use it for research, and it's great. Like, it is so awesome.
Are you a student?
I'm getting ready to go back.
Yeah. Yeah, Devon makes some great software for students, researchers, people who want to, work on stuff and store it there. Can you not just do everything you want to do in Devon?
Well, it's that I've already invested years of time.
I know. I have thousands of notes in Evernote.
And it's like, I guess, how would I migrate them out? What do I do to change my workflow? I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah. Well, one good thing about Evernote is all of those notes are stored. It's very simple. They're RTF files. They're stored in what looks like one big file, but it's really a bunch of files. It's kind of a flat file database. There's nothing proprietary about it. It's easy to export all your notes, and I'm sure DevonThink could easily import all your notes. It might be time. Yeah, it might be time to start thinking about finding another solution. I just don't think Evernote at this point, given the troubles they're going through, I don't think Evernote's going to make any improvements at this point. I think I don't want to put them on the death watch, but I think they're starting to get a little woozy.
Well, it's just accountability. That's all it is.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, look, you've rattled their cage on international radio. Maybe they'll listen.
We'll keep it real.
Next time thank you. You too, and thanks for buying this shirt. And next time I talk to Phil, I'll mention this to him. I have asked him, how is it that you choose what features? Because of course, And he said this. This was back when he was still running the company. He said, you know, there's a million ideas. There's a million things we can do. We go to our meetings, and we've got all these great ideas, but no company has unlimited resources to implement everything. So there is this process in every software company, every hardware company, every technology company of saying no. In fact, Steve Jobs said the most important thing he ever did was to learn to say no. He used to ask Johnny Ive, the chief designer at Apple, how many times did you say no today? He was encouraging him to say no, because the process of really developing a good product is learning to know what to put in and what not to put in. But I have to say, I agree with you. Accessibility is really something every app should have. We want anybody who wants to use a computer able to use that computer regardless of their differing abilities. And that's something that I just feel like it's a moral responsibility for software companies. It really is. But Phil said we have to learn how to say no. Maybe they did. I don't know. Speaking of Phil, Phil's on the line. A different Phil from Anaheim, California. Hi, Phil.
Hey, what's happening, Leo? How are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Take it here. Hey, first and foremost, before I get to my question, I just want to say thank you for the encouragement through the years. Been listening a long time, and I finally got off my duff and started a podcast this year.
Yeah. What is your subject matter?
It's lifestyle podcast about geek culture.
Oh, it sounds great. What's the name of it?
It's called Circus of Ego.
Now, naming is very important when it comes to shows, and that is an excellent name. Circus of Ego.
That's it.
Wow.
It. Well, thanks for the vote of confidence.
Yeah, that's
I do
great.
Appreciate that.
It's exciting. Isn't it fun? It's fun to do.
Oh, my God. It's a blast.
Yeah.
It's a blast. We're only 2 shows in, but we're having the time of our lives.
Good.
Great.
Well, have a great time.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. So here's my question. I watch TV late at night after my wife and my daughter go to bed. And because I'm kind of hard of hearing, I'm not deaf or anything, but my hearing is shot from years of DJing.
Tell me about it.
Crank that volume up.
Yeah, it wakes everybody up in the house, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So I'm wondering if you have a recommendation for a pair of wireless headphones, over-the-ear headphones that I can get and save my wife and daughter some sleepless nights.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Get a Roku 3 or 4, because the new Roku boxes have a headphone jack built into the remote control. And you control... Gotcha. It's awesome because you control the volume right there in the remote. Anything you can watch on a Roku, which is, a pretty big universe of stuff, you can listen to on the headphones and you won't hear TV sound. Does your TV go into a AV receiver, or is the sound coming from the TV?
It's coming from the TV. We run a pretty tight budget over here.
Yeah. So you're going to need to buy headphones that have a Bluetooth adapter on the TV end, because the TV will not speak to the headphones. You need to have something that has a base station that plugs into the TV's audio jack and then has headphones. There are a number of very good ones. Under $100, JLab, JLAB is good. I'll tell you what, I'll put a list in the show notes, and I'll invite others to do the same because we're running out of time. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Visit techguylabs.com. Coincidentally, USA Today just had an article on the best Bluetooth headphones for under $100. So they do mention the JLab. Beyerdynamics are fantastic, but they're $200. Sony makes a pair for $130. Sony's are very good. The MDR, what is that? 7506. So let's just put that link in shows. This is from reviewed.com, which is a pretty good site. What else? If you wanted in-ears, I think for watching TV you'd want over-the-ear, something more comfortable, right? Yeah, and what you don't want to get is a Bluetooth that's designed for phones. You want to get A2DP. Actually, there's a newer Bluetooth standard for high-quality audio. What is it? It's X something? A2DP is the stereo spec that most things support. aptX. aptX actually works with the A2DP profile. So the headphone company would license that. OS 10 supports it. Okay, that's good. Great music, as always. Our musical director, Nathan Staten, at the podium with the baton, doing such a good job. Thanks also to Kim Schaffer, our phone ranger. A couple more minutes left before we can head out of town, head out of Dodge. Steve, by the way, we'll put a link to a list of Bluetooth. What you want is a Bluetooth headphone if you're going to watch TV, because you need wireless, obviously. There are other wireless technologies. I would go with Bluetooth. It's got the range, about 30 feet. But more importantly, it'll work. It's not line of sight. I had some infrared headphones that were nice from Dolby. They were really nice. But if you turned your head, you'd break the line of sight, the light signal, the sound would go off. So that's not good. So I think something that's using radio waves like Bluetooth is a good idea. There is a Bluetooth technology you might want to look for. You're going to want not a Bluetooth headset like a phone headset. That's low-quality audio. You don't want the whole show to sound like you're on the phone. You want a Bluetooth headset that supports something called A2DP. That's the stereo high-quality audio profile for Bluetooth. And then there's something even better on top of A2DP called aptX. And there are many brands, they say on the aptX webpage, 300 brands of headphones that support that. That's good. That'll give you even better sound. Really good, they say wired equivalent sound over Bluetooth. There are lots of good choices out there. We'll put a link in the show notes to a recent article from reviewed.com recommending 10 different ones. Sony makes them. Bayer makes them. I like Bayer Dynamic headphones. Those are a little bit more expensive. There are lots of good choices out there for wireless headphones. It's a great idea. Then you can... I use a wired... when I'm really long cable wired headphones, but I think wireless would probably be a little easier. Steve in North Hollywood, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Leo. It's good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. What can I do for you?
I had a situation where I was robbed this week. Somebody came into my home and they stole a bunch of stuff while I was there, believe it or not.
God, that's scary. Did you see him?
Well, my neighbor did. It was a homeless couple, and unfortunately, my friend left the door open, and they just wandered into my place.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, it happens. I guess the question I have for you is we had a laptop that they stole, and it was password protected, but my concern was that they might be able to get data off of that. Is that possible, or do they have to wipe out the hard drive in order to be able to use that?
It is possible. When somebody has physical access to a machine, it's much more easy for them to get data off of it. Password really just protects you against somebody who casually sits down at your desk. But if they can take that machine home... Now, you said they're a homeless couple. I doubt very much that they have the tools required, because here's what you'd have to do. You couldn't just log into the computer, presume that you have a decent password. It's not going to happen. But there is password cracking software. What was it, Windows or Mac?
It was a Windows. It was a Dell machine. It was 7 years old.
Yeah, so that means it was XP or Windows 7?
Actually, it had Vista on there.
Oh, nice.
They're not going to be happy.
They're not going to enjoy that laptop. So it is possible, though, to download software that will crack the administrator password. And so if they have some skills, they have internet access, They can download the software, run it through a CD drive, Loft Crack and others, and that's one way. The other thing they can do is open it up and take out the hard drive. And usually that hard drive will be somewhat accessible, even without the operating system. However, all of this takes some somewhat advanced skills. Your fear is not the homeless couple. Your fear is the person they sell or give this to.
Yeah.
And then that's going to be the larger issue. The only thing I'd really worry about is passwords. You don't have a text file on the desktop that says passwords.txt?
No.
Okay.
I always keep that on a separate drive, and I title it some
Smart.
Your name.
So one hopes that they don't get your passwords. If they look on there and, if they're, they can see the picture. They probably would be able to, if they knew what they were doing, to see the pictures on there, look at financial records, look through your email, things like that. It'd be a great idea to change passwords especially for your email account. That's the first line of defense is your email password. So now's the time to change that password. They probably, it just depends what's on there. If you had an automated, for instance, if you stored credit card information in your browser to make it easy to buy stuff on Amazon, you just go to Amazon, it logs you in, you click buy, and it buys. Well, that's a little bit of a risk. You might want to change your Amazon password as well.
Yeah, we went through the process of changing all the passwords and that whole thing.
It's probably unlikely that they did anything with that. And even if they did give it or sell it to somebody, unlikely that person's going to do anything with it. But yes, the possibility exists. I'm sorry to say.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I feel like I didn't give you the best news, did I? Oh, that's why encryption is a great idea. Encrypt the hard drive, encrypt the data on the hard drive. It's not done by default. It is done by default now on most smartphones. Newer Android phones and all iPhones encrypt that data. So even if somebody got physical access to it, they couldn't get into it. And of course, with a device that's portable and easily lost, that's important. You don't expect your computer to disappear. I'm so sorry that happened. That's terrible. Last call of the day here, and that would be Mike in Vista, California. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, I got a question for you on tablets. I'm a service technician, and I have a lot of PDF service manuals that I need to view from time to time.
Yes.
And I was interested in, right now I have an iPad that I'm just running out of memory on, and looking to get another tablet that I can store the PDF files on and, view from there. And
any tablet will do that. Any tablet will do that. iPads, you can actually, I do this all the time, store the PDFs in iBooks, the iBook reader. And
exactly, that's what I do right now.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm running out of memory on that.
Well, you need more memory, don't you? Maybe you need an iPad Pro, 128 gigs.
Yeah, exactly.
The world's largest tablet.
Was inexpensive.
No, well, it's not only that. I don't think you want to drive around with a 12.9-inch tablet.
Right.
So you're asking what you should get?
Yeah, I was looking at the Kindle Fire for the $49.99 one.
There's a good idea. That's cheap. The Kindle software will read PDF files. Sometimes scaling is an issue. It depends on how the PDF was made. But it sounds like you're already doing this. A modern PDF that's well made will scale beautifully. You'll use the Kindle software. So yeah, that $50 Kindle tablet, perfect.
Okay, and then I would be able to store all my manuals on the external or not external.
Well, maybe what I would do is put them on Google Drive or somewhere like that, and then open them from the cloud when you need them.
I don't think the Kindle has Wi-Fi, or it has Wi-Fi capability, but not.
It's Wi-Fi only. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I don't know what the maximum storage available on that $50 probably doesn't have a whole lot of storage. How many manuals do you have? I mean, how many gigabytes of storage do you need?
Currently, right now, I have 4 to 5 gig.
Oh, yeah. Most of them should be able to handle that. Hey, we're out of time. Thank you for joining me. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts For this show, we talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security and Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today and Tech News Tonight. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.